You'll be able to see this on my website about the benefits of graphic facilitation. I won't go into it too much. I just want to show it to you mostly because it's a sketch note. Sketch notes make things more accessible. They're infographics. In the chat, can you just say, what would you rather read? An 8-page research paper or an infographic that summarizes that research paper? And I don't know about you, but I would definitely choose the fast option there. Um, so sketch notes are kind of handmade infographics. And the tools that I'm going to use today will be able, you can actually create infographics with them yourself. You can either hand draw them or you can create them. For example, this is the Canva whiteboard, and you can add your own text. You can add elements such as, for example, these containers and mind maps, some sticky notes. You can add pictures, icons, photographs, videos. So if you're not familiar with Canva, it's a free tool. You can pay to upgrade it. I love it. You can do so many things with it. Presentations, Instagram Reels, videos, create your own infographics, etc. So in the chat, this is one of my visual templates, and it's a cool visual thinking strategy that you can draw in class, very simply. And um, you could do it just with an arrow, top, bottom, to make it very simple. You don't need to draw the entire thing. If you are using a Canva whiteboard, you could, for example, go to Elements, search for hot air balloon, and then add this hot air balloon, for example, here, and then find an arrow, do the same, and then create your own template with that. But here I'd like you to, usually I use the annotation tools in Zoom, but that's not possible. So I would usually get my students or participants to mark somewhere here where they are. Are they super confident on flying, or have they not quite taken off yet? So where are you with your visual thinking strategies? And I suspect you might need to just write that in the chat instead of using annotation tools. So I'll give you a little minute to do that and then just talk amongst yourselves. And as you do that, I'm going to show you how to draw a hot air balloon because it is very simple. It's an O and then a rectangle and then a line and then some little N shapes and then connect with a couple of lines. And you can add extra little lines here if you want. I always find that drawing on Canva is a little bit shaky. So I don't get quite the same sleek design as I get with Fresco, but it does get the point across and it does communicate. So all good there. Okay, so hopefully those of you that are at the bottom here will be closer to the top by the end of this session. So one of the first tools I like to use for visual thinking strategies is Cam Scanner. Can Scanner you can download for free on your mobile phone. It means that you can take a photograph of something that you've been working on. And then if you go to the magic color, if you press the magic color option, oops, magic color, it turns it into, oh, why is that changing like that? Magic color. It turns it into a bright kind of cartoony looking image. This one hasn't used, this has used just a photograph filter on it. So this one is a visual thinking activity that I did during lockdown with my literacy level students, or they were high literacy level. They were maybe A1, mid A1, and to help them understand each of these words in this lovely song, because we all needed an uplifting song during lockdown. I won't sing it to you because we're in a bit of a rush and for other reasons. But yeah, they're very simple drawings that you can add. So this is a nice little visual thinking strategy that you can add to any text, get students to draw their own stories, get them to draw their own songs, get them to interchange words. But this, for example, is using Cam Scanner. Do I have a version of Magic Color? Yes, here. So this was something that I drew, a mind map that I drew, and used the Magic Color option, and then it changed it automatically to this lovely cartoony version. And here, Ashraf Kuhail from the Hands Up project did this wonderful gave it to the students and then got them to write these lovely little stories by interspersing the words. So the mouse climbed over the lion, for example, and instead of writing mouse, they've changed that to just the drawing, which is lovely. It gets them to be nice and creative, to think critically, which words are easy um, to interchange, for example. And obviously, nouns and verbs are much simpler than, for example, abstract concepts. Another visual thinking tool that has used Cam Scanner. I'm not sure if this one's used Cam Scanner actually. Play with Cam Scanner. Yeah, so this one, as I said, brightens up like a cartoon. This one's more like a photograph filter. But you can reuse this a lot. So, for example, for a graphic organizer, you can uh, use this tool in many different ways. Like, for example, with reading, who is the reading text about? Where is it set? When is it? Why did things happen? What happened? Same with listening, same with reading. And actually, especially for listening, these are great because I find that we quite often, as teachers, give students very long questions and they are busy focusing on the question rather than listening. So if you just give them one word questions, it's much simpler for them to understand. Um, and for example, who here is just a little person like this. Where is a rectangle, a couple of lines and a triangle, and then some jaggy bits. When is a circle with an L shape. Canva quite often corrects it like that. A pencil is a rectangle with a triangle and then another little line. So very simple ways. You can do this on your whiteboard and get students to come out and add their answers using whiteboard markers, or you could get them to add it using post-it notes. Online, you could send, for example, if you're using a Canva whiteboard, you could share it with your students just the same that you would with, like, for example, a Google Doc. And you've got a public view link so everybody can see it. Or you could enter their email addresses individually and then only those students can see it. I think you need to have Pro to be able to add the emails, but I'm not entirely sure. So do check that. Um, what you can also do with Canva Whiteboard is find your own graphic organizers. So if you go to templates and then type in graphic organizer, actually, if you type in graphic organizer with a Z, the American spelling, you get many, many more than you do with the S. I have a course online on my website for teaching with graphic organizers with Claire Hayward, and she discovered this. So yeah, lots and lots of graphic organizers that you can add and play with and use and have students add their own information. So you don't have to draw them if you don't want to, although where's the fun in that? This one is also a magic color cam scanner version. So I've done this on just a notepad for getting vocabulary. Students write a word. For example, apple, and then they write the meaning. So if you're in somewhere Spanish, manzana, and then a picture. So they draw a picture, and actually drawing helps students to remember vocabulary. The drawing effect is there's a research study to show that if you draw whilst learning vocabulary, you're much more likely to retain the information, and that's called the drawing effect. And then, of course, you can write a sentence here as well. So, and yeah, you can do this on the technology of paper and pen with your students. You can do it as a collaborative Canva. You can also do it by creating a graphic organizer and printing it, for example. So this is another graphic organizer that is in my Hands Up for Peace book that I edited for the Hands Up project using lots of activities involving hands. And this hand, basically, you can get students to draw around their hand and then add the sound, choose a sound, could be E, could be oo, could be ch, for example, and then get them to think of as many words or get them to read a text. Ellie has quite a lot of lovely phonics stories. This is quite a nice follow-up text for their phonics stories. So get them to read maybe a text or do a listening or just think about all the words that they know with those sounds and then add them in their hands. And for the added challenge, get them to use two. This, by the way, is a glove that I use to stop the screen from interacting with my hand when I smudge it. So you could do that online as well by, for example, providing a template or a drawing on Canva. And then you could ask students, if you're getting them to collaborate, you could ask them to, for example, add their own text, or you could get them to add sticky notes. So other whiteboard tools that I love to use are Miro, which you actually need to pay for, which is similar to Canva, but Canva has the added bonus that you can do things like create posters, create videos, etc. Miro is simply a whiteboard that is shareable. Mural is very similar. Again, another online whiteboard tool. To be able to share and do other things, you need to pay for it, but there are, I think you get three whiteboards for free, and you can make them quite big whiteboards, to be fair. So you can have lots and lots of different lessons in one whiteboard and just zoom in and out. Like you could have a whiteboard for one level, for example. You can also draw in PowerPoint and create lots of visuals that way as well. For example, you can use Cam Scanner to take a pop picture, upload it to PowerPoint, and then get students to interact with it, maybe in a similar way to, for example, what we did here, either by using the chat tool or using annotation tools. Okay, so I talked about how I made this mind map. Firstly, I drew it. I used felt tip pens to draw this. And then I took a photo of it using Cam Scanner, magic setting, magic color setting. The reason why I like to do mind maps this way is because I think it makes things stick. A lot of mind maps look a bit more like this. So these are mind maps from Canva. They're from the templates. So if you go to Canva, go to templates, go to mind map, it will create one for you. You can also do that in Mural and Miro. Or of course, you can create one using different elements too. So for example, square, and then you just add the squares on the lines yourself. You can also get students to create their own. But for me, I quite like making the container or the sections of the mind map, make them actually related to what you're talking about. So for example, a fruit, a vegetable, dairy, meat. And so perhaps the coolest tool that I use, the one that will be giving away my trade secrets, is Adobe Fresco. So, as a visual recorder, when I create sketch notes, I use Adobe Fresco, which is a free tool from Adobe, and it's very simple to use. So with this, so for example, when I use a pen and paper, I will get something like this. And when I use Adobe Fresco, I get something a bit cleaner. Um, and when I use Canva, for example, for this, let's just draw so this notepad, for example, you'll see here on Fresco, it's nice and clean, and whereas on Canva, the way things draw, it's a bit more bumpy, shall we say. So to draw a notepad, just draw a rectangle, but leave it open a little bit. And then you can add your pencil, which is another rectangle, and then a triangle, and then a smaller rectangle, and then an L shape. And then to add some spiral bounding, you can either do some swirls or you can add some little C shapes. And then you can get students to interact with that in the same way. If they have touch screens, like for example on their mobile phones, they can add their own ideas directly here, or again, using the sticky notes. So this is what I would call a container activity. And containers are basically big icons drawn really big, which will help students to think. They're great for activating schemata, for example. Um, so, for example, if you're talking about mobile phones, you could get students to think, who do you normally talk to on your mobile phone? Who do you chat to, for example, and get them to write here, mom, sister, for example. Or you could erase this bit and then have them think about the negative aspects or the positive aspects. And this is a way of getting them to think about their ideas before they speak, or getting them to think about their ideas before they write, for example. You can also get them to, like, for example, if you want to go on a class trip or you're all debating what topic to talk about next, or you're all talking about different presentation skills, for example, you could get students to add their ideas into these little light bulbs. And the light bulb is the easiest thing to draw. It is a circle, and then a U shape, and then a Z, and then an M. But as you can see, you can draw this in many ways. And actually here, I didn't add the M because I want students to add their ideas in here. So you can use that to create like a graphic organizer or a mind map or just a space for them to think or answer questions. And you can use the LE flashcards. I've got a lovely blog post about using the LE flashcards in that way somewhere. This one, 12 LE flashcards, perfect for planning and reflection. So yeah, check those out. I used Adobe Fresco to create this active meditation. The active meditation is because I'm terrible at meditating. So I created this tool that involves me doing something while I'm meditating, but I'm still focusing on one thing. So I basically draw an ear, I draw an eye, I draw a mouth, and then I add inside it, what can I hear? What can I see? What can I taste? What can I smell? What can I touch? What do I feel? And that just gives me 5, 10 minutes to just think and do at the same time. And you can download that from my website. Stan's lunch, I will show you in the breakout room. It's quite a cool little video that I created. As I said, I taught literacy for many years. And so this is the sound. So, for example, staten, he puts water in a taten. He turns on the tap. He puts pasta in a pan. He puts a tin of tomatoes in the pan. He sits at the table. He spits because it's too hot. And then he has an apple. And we added, often people ask, why did you put spit in there? And partly intercultural training, partly for fun, partly because a lot of my students are adults and have children, but maybe they need to know that word that it's not cool to do that in public. Um, and it does always get a bit of a laugh and kind of breaks the ice a little bit. Um, so we've tried to focus on words that were really quite essential. And you can create that by using a projector. So this is like basically a document camera. It takes a video of whatever's on your desk. Like visualizer. You can actually use that. I created it once with a bottle, full bottle, like a bottle with a bottle of wine, but you can do it with a bottle of water. And then I'm going to attach my phone using one of those windy phone holders and then flipped it over. So there's lots of different ways you can do that. And actually, if you follow Laura Wiltz, Communicating for Impact, she has a lot of cool tips for how to record stuff like that. OBS Studio is a great one for using if I want to share my screen and record. If I want to be on Zoom at the same time using my webinar, my webcam, and then I want my screen to be recorded and then projected, um, then I use OBS Studio. So that's what I did for this advancing learning for Macmillan. So I was basically drawing as the participants were talking about things.